And if you want to listen to this interview, you can go online. You can go to my website, NSAA 360. We're going to record it as a podcast and put it online as well. And so that'd be cool. So yeah, make sure you get the mic really close so we can get you recorded.
You're singing a duet right now.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? I got you, babe. You know, I'll be Donnie though.
The girl is mine.
Oh, the girl. No, Ebony and Ivory. Ebony and Ivory. I'll be Ivory.
I'll be Paul McCartney.
I'm like, don't you dare touch my face. Okay.
No, because he lived.
Because did he sue him after he touched his face? Okay. He's the only one alive, but he's not doing it well though.
Hey, he's got.
He married that. How you gonna divorce somebody with one leg? That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Like, babe, you got one leg. I know. I'm tired of rubbing that nub. I'm sorry.
She couldn't walk out of his life. I'm leaving.
Since you can't leave me, I will leave you.
Hop to it.
All right. Okay. So, welcome to Coffee and Poets. My name is NSAA. And we are located right here at the Naked Lounge at 11th and 8th Street. And right now we are sitting down with Khiry Malik. So I'm gonna have him, he is a local famous poet that does everything under the sun. He's a photographer, he's a promoter, an event promoter, and also too as well, he has hosted a venue called Mahogany for 15 years. So yes, that is an accomplishment, because you know y'all poets are crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So I want to start this off with a poem. If you can read us a poem, and then I'll go into some questions for you.
So I guess I'll start off with something that has been kind of fresh. My editor said I shouldn't tell you guys this, but I have a book coming out pretty soon.
Nice.
And so, because she's not done editing the books, that's why she's like, stop telling people. But I spent a year. Okay, so before I do this, I'll say this since I have time, right? I'm a big fan of jazz, and Miles Davis has a documentary out about himself, and one thing he said was that he stopped doing ballads for like years because he loved doing ballads. And for me, out of all the poetry I've done, some of you may have heard it, some of you may not have heard it, I do a lot of different topics, different styles of poetry, but my favorite style, my favorite topic is love. And so I don't always show that at open mic because, you know, it's not really popular. It's like, this guy doing love.
It's not popular?
No. What's more popular is erotic poetry. You know, you have to be exciting.
So lust is popular.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to be more exciting at the open mic night sometimes. Yeah. You know, you get them to do a love poem, it's like, what?
Oh.
So,
you just get a lot of ah.
You may get some ahs,
yeah.
You know. But the reason why I would do a love poem at an open mic would be not for the ahs, but for the draws.
Oh.
I tried that when Love Jones came out. Love Jones came out, I was like, yeah. You know, it never worked. Not once. So I spent a year just focusing on love, an elusive love situation, and in my belief, as far as nature is concerned, you have man who represents the sun, but also represents knowledge. And you have woman who represents the moon, but also what represents wisdom. And then the stars are the offspring, the children. And so in nature, you have the sun who shines light on the moon reflects the light and creates this energy, creates emotion. So like, I mean, like, you know, and I already described this, you know, if you look in the morning and you see the sun rising, the sun is very it's like a man, it's very macho, it's just kind of hot, you know, it's just, it has this big fanfare when it comes, when it rises, all this, you know, and then the moon is more calming and more elegant and more, you know, more beautiful. So, like I said, I wrote these poems to women, but also, or to a woman, but also to the moon. And, you know, she's still as far as the moon is. It didn't quite work, but I have a book. So I'm going to gain financially from that affair. In the middle of an empty space, in a blanket of darkness, I stand, hurling love poems into the sky, hoping that one of them will eventually reach you and convince you to come down from your elusive position. And with each and every one that crashes to the ground, I throw another one, with more force and different angles, with the same intensity, the same belief that God created us with certain intentions. Without you, I'm a band without rhythm. I'm a ship trying to sail through a desert, a bird with no sky beneath its wings. Without you, I'm a dream that never gets a chance to wake the dreamer. Without you, I'm half a heart, and half a heart is a question mark. So I'm here, standing in darkness, the only light I see is you, dancing across the sky, capturing my attention, writing love letters like ancient scrolls that will be discovered long after our existence. I am Linus, waiting patiently for the promise, waiting patiently for the prophecy to fulfill itself, waiting to remove all doubt, waiting to prove the devil wrong, memorizing the sound of your voice like an old love song written 2 lifetimes before we even met. I am Linus, waiting to catch the fragments of your broken heart that will fall like meteors because no one can love you like I do. Unwavering and unconditional, unmoved by distance. If they dare to call me insane, then I ask what they call those who pray. Those who pray the situation change and go off nothing but the feeling inside. Same feeling I get when we walk together, saying nothing, just vibrations between us. Same feeling I get when I look up and it's daytime and there you are occupying the same sky. The sun and moon ruling the day. I want to write our memories in soft whispers that erase the patterns of disappointment. I want to scare away your fear, bridge your empty spaces, be born again in your thoughts. I know that words will never change your mind, and your past experiences have left you with empty spaces that sometimes make you hide in the shadows to protect yourself. But sweet, I've seen you fool before. I've seen the way you reflect light. I've seen your influence. I am Linus, standing on faith, throwing love letters into the sky, hoping that one of them will eventually reach you. And every now and then, I unravel a crinkled love letter with the hopes that just maybe you're up in that sky, in a blanket of darkness, with the same intensity, hurling love letters in my direction too.
All right, let's get into the serious questions right now. All right. So, how many aliases do you have?
Depends on the situation.
Okay. All right. So let's go through a few of your aliases.
But some of the aliases describe a mood or personality. So, Black Peter is the erotic side, and actually. For a while, I tried to write erotic poetry, but I don't know if you noticed already, I'm a little goofy, and so all the poems wound up being kind of funny. I wasn't the kind of person that can put my business into the streets. I'm not, creative sexually. It's just, you get what, This is what it is. I don't have no, because
that's hilarious.
One time I told a girl I was freaky, and then she pulled out these things, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't mean that. What the hell is that? What does that do? I didn't know. I thought, making love with a TV on. It's like, that's freaky.
Okay. Jerry Springer.
Yeah, it's like, So Black Peter is this, and to jump back, when I first got on the open mic, first time in life, I had to create this character within myself, and I don't have a name for that character. It is the voice that I heard when I wrote the poem. And when I got called up to the microphone, I asked that voice to speak, and that voice read that first poem for me. And so that's how I get, like I said, Black Peter is the character that writes the erotic poetry. Admiral Habib is the character that when I'm angry, he speaks on the microphone. What's the other one? Mitchell Shun. My actual real name is not Khiry Malik.
Oh.
It is Khiry Mitchell Moore, right?
Oh.
So my middle name is Mitchell, so Mitch.
Oh, sure.
Named after my grandmother. My grandmother's last name was Mitchell. So my mother wanted to keep my grandmother's spirit alive, so I got her middle name. And she's actually my guardian spirit. So the Mitch in Mitch Oshun is actually a tribute to my grandmother. Oshun is the spirit.
It's an African goddess.
It's an African goddess, right? It's African goddess of the river, and it's art, the power of attraction, creativity, and so on and so on. So when I say Mitch Oshun, I'm speaking to the ancestors directly, and I'm channeling a creative spirit. So the music I play, my DJ name, when I DJ, I call myself Mitchell Shun. So when I'm DJing, I'm actually trying to.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's a DJ too.
I'm a DJ too. So when I'm DJing, I'm actually channeling the energies of the ancestors and hopefully bringing the vibrations to the room that I'm in when I'm spinning. So that's pretty much the.
So I count like 4. You got 4 different.
Yeah. So I mean, there's other ones. Some of them are just being
four
funny.
different personalities.
Yeah. Some of them are some of the names I come up with just. When I'm at open mic, sometimes I put a tongue twister on there, like a name.
Yeah, something I can't say.
Just to see if the host would say it. So like Sofa King Great is one of the names I put on this. just to see just to see what they come up.
Yeah, you fucking with me.
All
Like how the hell you say this right here?
Yeah, or Dick Stabbing Bush. Those names are just to see if the host would say it.
Okay, so all right, so now we got that out the way. That was the most important thing that we must discuss. Let's talk about mahogany. How did mahogany fall into your hands?
So I came into the this is interesting. My poetry, like beginning and the present, both started on the same stream. First time I read poetry was on 15th and Broadway. It was a place called On Broadway. It's still called On Broadway, but it's a full Bach restaurant. But that's my first time reading poetry was there. And I became part of this poetry collective that went on to create a venue called the Blue Room. Before that whole, so poetry has, we have a history,
Well, the spoken word scene.
Spoken word scene. Mm-hmm. Our spoken word scene. I won't say the whole entire.
Yeah, Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento.
But the urban poetry scene started with, to my knowledge, with Conscious Vibes. They had a venue called Mood Swings, and at the bowling alley at Country Club Lanes, and they moved different places. And Mood Swings was at on Broadway. From there, we started after we left on Broadway. Angela Williams and a group of us started the Blue Room, which actually just elevated the poetry scene. As far as that venue was a place where you see the who's who of the urban scene. You had hip hop artists that came in there, the top hip hop artists. Ebro was on 102.5. He would do his radio show, and they said, "I'm going over to the Blue Room." Like that was the place to be. Was the Blue Room. When that ended, and not because it wasn't successful, but because the restaurant had some different situations going on. When that ended, it was like a void left, and these other poetry, little kind of offshoot venues. Everybody had a little niche, And I probably would I'm gonna tell you some things that people don't normally know. So I'm at home, just chilling one day, and at the time I had a girlfriend. And she was at Jamaica House eating lunch. And Felix, the owner of Jamaica House, walks out. He's like, yo. And this is weird. Jamaica House was owned by a Nigerian. It was crazy. Jamaican food, but they got like why you feel like
It's like a Russian opening up an Italian restaurant, right?
Yeah. So she's there having lunch, and she's a very pretty ex-girlfriend.
Very pretty
Yeah, tiresome girl. He tries to hit on her, right? And he's like, yeah, I got a lot of events going on. I'm gonna start doing poetry here. And she's like, oh, well, who's gonna host it? Oh, I don't know yet. I'm looking for somebody. So she was like, oh, a friend of mine, it was a poet. So I'm in my backyard gardening, and I get a phone call, and it's my girlfriend at the time. She's like, hey, this guy wants to start up a poetry venue. So that made the connection where we first started. Me and her broke up. That killed the venue. But the collective that began Mahogany, that was like a long time ago. We've been through several different transitions, but we have people come and go. So we have people from Mahogany all over the United States, all over the world, as a matter of fact. And so it's been a blessing to have it. The Jamaica House, it started out Jamaica House, which is 1704 Broadway. Mm-hmm. Felix then sold it to his chef, which is Clive, who transformed it into Sweet Fingers Jamaican restaurant. Clive sold it to Zion, who made it into an Ethiopian restaurant. Mm-hmm. We've been at that same location through all three transitions, so it's been a blessing to have that and the support of the community. When we first started Mahogany, my vision was to have a location where people know to come. Like it's the word of mouth place. You come to Sacramento, where's the poetry at? Oh, you have to go to Mahogany. I wanted it to be a place where we cultivated poetry. It's not about ego. It's about the cultivation of the poetry and the poetry scene. When we came into the poetry scene, there was the older generation of poets didn't necessarily reach back and teach us anything or come back even to visit the venue. It was a separation between us and the older poetry crowd. And I actually have a poem I wrote about, not even that older poetry crowd, it's an older poet that I met. But I was like, yeah, I have a poetry video on Wednesdays. He was like, yeah, it's cool. My son does the hip hop stuff. And I was like, no, it's poetry. We have a poet. They had, the beats and everything and gangsters and stuff. And I was like, no, we really do haikus and sonnets and limericks and we do, poetry. He's like, yeah. He kept harping on his view of where he thought urban poetry was. Mm-hmm. And so that's what Mahogany is one of the goals, is to expose people to this is a real stage. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's a real stage, and you may have a first-time poet come up, and the next is an international poet, and the transition is smooth. There's no difference between somebody who's reading for the first time and somebody reading who's on tour. The only thing is the crowd is picky. There's never disrespect. It's never disrespectful. It's never you don't feel bad. But our crowd.
There's no Sandman to get you off the stage.
No Sandman to get you off the stage. There is Zeus. Okay. But our crowds in particular. So they do offer constructive criticism. If you are open to it after you perform, but it's home for a lot of people. A lot of people have been there and have grown, and like I said, have been doing so much. And for me, I don't necessarily look. I don't look at Mahogany as my venue. Even though I've been the person, I've been the janitor, the DJ, the host, I've been the booker, I've done all of that, but I don't look at it necessarily as my venue. I look at it as our venue, it's the community's venue.
Okay, let's do a brief discussion on what is slam poetry, really quick.
Okay.
And then go into how you convince a whole bunch of people to jump into do some naked running.
So that's the mischievous side. So slam poetry. When we started Mahogany, like I said, it's always been a team of people that have been there. even unspoken, we have people who are on the team. When we first started, there was a poet named Angela Boyce who approached me. She said, "I heard you doing your venue. I want to do your booking." Prior to Mahogany, I only knew poets that live in Sacramento. When Angela came, so Angela Boyce is a person who moved here from San Diego. She had a major stroke, and from that stroke, she taught herself. She recovered, and she had to relearn how to walk, talk, and she did that. And she went on to represent Sacramento in the National Poetry Slam, and took 5th place individually in the nation. Came back and said, "I want to now to form a slam team." And so when she approached me and asked to do the booking and to be part of Mahogany, I said, "Yeah, I had no idea. I said, yeah, well, take a Wednesday, whatever you want to do." We started getting poets by like Talam AC, Shane Coyson, like international poets. Like these are legends coming to the Mahogany, and performing. And I'm like, whoa! Like I never heard poetry of that caliber before. And so slam is basically, it's a competition where you are encouraged to get on stage and do your absolute best. You have 3 minutes to complete your poem, and you get a score immediately afterwards. And I recommend it for anybody who wants to improve their performance. I don't recommend it for people who are solely competitive. There's it's a thin line, because of course you want to win, but for me, I think when you are solely competitive, when you join a slam team because you're competitive, then you start losing yourself as a poet. You write poems just for the crowd. I'm going to write this poem about a tragic situation that may not have happened, but I'm going to write it because I'm going to get a high score. You know what I mean? Like you almost like sell your soul. And so that's almost like why I kind of got us out of having a slam, because I like pure poetry. I like real I don't want to feel like I'm being sold a car. You know what I mean? We're about to get back into the slam, but with that message, when we have the team, is that don't bet the farm on this. Like go for the experience. Go, and get into the 300 poets in the pool. I like going to the national. So every year we have a national slam. It's in a different city every year. It travels. And this is a place where you may imagine like old Sacramento with like 500 poets just all running around drunk and doing poetry in between, right? It's an amazing place to meet people and make connections. I have so many connections. I can go to Tennessee right now and be a feature. I can go to LA, I can go to New York, I can go to Boston, I can go to London, I can go to Germany, San Diego, these places I can go because of my connections with the poets from the slam. So there's one time in Albuquerque, actually one time in Modesto, we were competing, and Sacramento, there's a thing called the Battle of the Bay. It happens throughout the Bay Area. All the teams that are going to go to nationals, we all get together and do a friendly competition to raise money for all the teams to go. Well, we do very well in the Battle of the Bay. We've won a lot of the competitions around the Bay. So we were in Modesto and we didn't win. We narrowly lost. Right? So they're like, "Yeah, we won, ha ha, all this stuff," and I was like, "Yeah, but y'all can't beat us in a butt-naked foot race." And I don't know why I said that. I said it, and one of our team members remembered it. So we're at nationals. We lose the first bout. So he goes, "Yeah, but y'all can't beat us in a butt-naked foot race." Now, one of the teams in the competition was from Oregon. Anybody from Oregon here? Anybody been to Oregon? People in Oregon like to be naked. So he said that at the venue, "Y'all can't beat us in the butt naked foot race. Why? Beat us at Hotel Blue, 9 p.m. He's doing stuff, right? We forget. We get to the hotel about 9:15. There's 5 people in the lobby just wearing towels. Come on, yeah, you late. So I was like what is this? Like, so, like, the organ team, like, what? You know? So I was like, late. So, you know, us being real, we had to go to the street. And, you know, so imagine being at a hotel, you're checking in, you know, you're in the lobby checking in, and all of a sudden, like 11 butt naked people run through the lobby, and just, you know, you're like, what kind of hotel is this? So, and the security guard was the one that dropped the flag for the race. I didn't race. You know, somebody had to.
Okay,
You know,
so y'all started a flash mob. Okay,
they ran through the thing. So then they all jumped in the
literally
pool.
a flash mob.
They all jumped in the pool. So I start convincing people maybe you should get in the pool too. So you know, more and more people got in. I still was not in. And then there was a poet that approached me. And she was like, yo, you gonna get in? And I was like, yeah, probably a little later on, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe, you know, tomorrow. And this is a poet that sells a lot of CDs, she's a world-renowned poet. She was like, well look, I knew a lot about her, but there's one thing I didn't know. So she was like, yo, if I get in, you know, will you get in? And I'm thinking, there's no way this person's gonna jeopardize, you know. I said, yeah, you get in, I'll get in. I go to the bathroom, come back, boop, she's in the water. I did not know that she was a nudist. That's one thing I didn't know. So she's in the water. Now I gotta get in. So I hopped in when people weren't looking.
Kind of slid
Slid in there real quick. But it was fun. It was fun.
I've always been here, right?
Yeah, it was fun. And then next year, at the slam, there were new rules as far as
Don't do the.
well, the hotel. I guess one of the people who are convinced to get in was the hotel manager,
Oh.
and there was cameras. So yeah, he got fired. And the security guard got fired too. So we had new rules the next year: no butt naked for races or swim meets.
Too bad.
Yeah.
So can you share another poem for us?
Yes. I think I'm really feeling. Yeah, but I have a preference of topic. No. Okay.
No love stuff. No love stuff.
No more love stuff.
No, you can do love if you want to. You know, we got a few women in the audience. They'll be like, oh.
Yes, we do.
But you know, brothers, we want to hear love. You know, poems about screwdrivers.
Why not
Tool belts.
Okay. No, I don't like that one. I don't like that one either. It's pressure because like people who hear me read all the time don't want to hear the same poems over and over again, you know. So I'm trying to find something that I don't always read.
We have a few people online that haven't heard them. So.
All right, this is I do this one for Valentine's Day. This one's for the ladies, and you guys do this thing sometimes that's very irritating, and kiss.
It's for the lady.
Like yourself.
It's tremendously.
It's a cautionary tale for the lady.
What they call it? No, I mean just imagine. Well, okay,
Just imagine.
I don't want to say it for the.
coming here talking.
I don't want to say it for the dudes because that's kind of you know. I mean it's well you know, but gentlemen, have you ever been? Yeah, you may have gone on 3 or 4 dates, right? And you know you feel comfortable and she's over your house. You guys are watching Love and Hip Hop or something like that, and you put your arms around her, and you're thinking it's about to go down, right? And she's like kissing on you, and she's involved and everything. And right when you get to the point where you think it's about to happen, she says, "Wait, I think we should talk." And then she asks you a question that you're not like. She asks you an impossible question, like that you can't answer this question. Like you can't answer the question with the truth, because she's like, "You think we should do this?" Of course you're gonna say, well, maybe we should. You think it's a mess up our friendship? Like, you know, it just kind of, you're right at that point where you're like, you know, and then she messes it up by thinking.
Turn your brain off.
Our brains, we're not thinking at all.
Yeah,
all the blood left.
all the blood.
We got no blood left. This is gonna mess up our friendship. Like, just all these questions. Like, oh no.
Lose your erection.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, what?
Like, oh no. It messes up the circuits. It's killing us right there. So this is you get right to the point, and then somebody just busts. The midnight blue sky, peeking at our bodies, interlocked legs, imprinted silhouettes, synchronized turns and twitches on the couch, in the kitchen, on the staircase, on the floor, in the car, on the hood. A river of kisses, climbing walls, exploring the nape of your neck, discovering the circumference of your nipples, finding solace in the confines of your thighs, wading in waters, clutching your island, breathing passion, inhale, exhale, absorb. Tracing your diameter, the pathway seems to melt with every lick on the porch, in the backyard, on camera, on the counter, in the closet, on camera, on the beach, in front of the fireplace, on camera, in the office, in the theater. It is us suspended by time, breaking sound barriers, creating tsunamis of emotion, tongue prep to scuba dive into your feminine ocean. And at that very moment, on the cusp of your climax, I whisper, tonight, I just want to hold you for a while. Just want to feel your heart beating against me. Just want to listen to the music of you breathing with me. Just want to soak in the waters of your divinity. Just want to see a look in your eyes that says you want more. Just want to see a look in your eyes that says you want more. Just want to see a look in your eyes that says you want more. No, not Terry Moore, but no, Khiry Malik Moore. So if I stop right now, with my army on the outskirts of your border, with you pondering my capabilities, captured by the suspense of anticipation of what I might do, with you a hostage to my intentions, if I stop right now and take command of your desires, redefine your previous interpretation of what a man is, take the time to memorize your curves, dim the room to complete blackness, if I stop right now and take time to prepare your soul for the experience, if I stop right now and take my time, I can make love to you until you ask me for an autograph, till you hop out the bed and give me a standing ovation. I make love till you start trying to move in by secret, leaving an earring, then some lipstick, then your bra, a pair of panties, and a toothbrush. I make love till you start, buying things to leave my house by accident, like a microwave. I make love till you ask where you can buy a souvenir. I make love till your friend said, "Girl, who did your part?" And this morning you had an afro. I make love till every time you hear John Coltrane, you have to cross your legs. I make love till every time you see my name on the caller ID, you hop around like you won the lottery. I make love till you change your college major to Kama Sutra. I make love till every time you blink, you get lonely. I make love till you start responding when my name is called. I make love till your only response when somebody asks about me is, "Girl, when you was over at Kyrie's house last night, I make love till you have to check yourself into a hospital for dehydration, if you know what I mean. I make love till you wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we just went to bed at 3:50. If I stop right now and lay a foundation for this to last beyond right now, give your mind the time to fathom, give your imagination time to catch up to what's already taking place, if I stop right now and build your anticipation, if I stop right now and build your... Thank you.
All right, so I got about 3 more questions for you. This has went really fast, huh? It's like, wow. Okay, so all right, so when this is the poet's question. This is the poet. So when did you know that you were a poet? That you was a poet? When did it come to your head like, damn, I'm a poet?
Okay, so when I first started plagiarizing poetry was when I was like in the 6th grade.
Plagiarizing?
I did. I plagiarized all the way up to 10th grade. So my dad used to have these scrolls he gave my mom every time they had every anniversary, and the words on them were so beautiful and so moving that I would write that stuff down and like give it to like girls, and eventually I would change the words, right? So so they were kind of like my own. You know, I remix the poems. In my family, we have this belief that whenever somebody great dies, or when somebody dies, period, when they make it to heaven, the signal is that it rains, right? And ever since I can remember, when I was like, I was in kindergarten. My grandmother passed, and the day my dad came to get me for school, it was raining outside. So every time somebody's passed in my lifetime, at some significant point, it rains, so that we know that they made it to heaven. So my great aunt passed. My mom was really distraught about it. That was her last surviving, almost her last surviving family member. And my mom was her caretaker. And so we're in the limo. It was cloudy that day. It had not rained yet. And my mom was like, really like, it has not rained. And so I wrote this poem about rain. And the comforting message in the poem was that sometimes the rain comes from within. And my mom was soothed by that, and she actually used to copy that poem. She may still copy that poem and give it to people when somebody passes. So my introduction into sharing my poetry was that poem, the rain poem. And from that point, I used to just write poetry, and close friends would read it, or I share it with close friends. My first time, in my transition from being a written poet to a spoken word artist, like I said, came I read it at the Broadway location, and from that point, because I used to only write like short poems, and I started writing longer and longer, and started being more. I guess I realized my calling was to share my personal experiences, but also other people may be going through the same thing, so it's comforting to them. And so that's pretty much the journey. I get, I don't even know if right now I think I'm still a poet. Like, what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't always get the feedback from the reach that my poems have, but I hope they do.
Okay. All right. So when your father died, basically, that's when you.
My great aunt died.
Great aunt died. Yeah. That's when I started sharing my work. Mm-hmm. And like I said, from that point, it just kind of went up, Okay. All right. That's interesting, because you can actually mark it down when you. I can't really mark it down when I start saying I was a poet. Moving on to what is the okay, so let's talk politics. Mm-hmm. So in your poetry, especially in the spoken word scene, it has a lot of politics or current events that we try to tackle in our poetry. So what is the pressing thing right now that you see that's on your mind right now as a poet? What do you see in current events that's going down right now that is really pressing upon you as a poet, as a spoken word artist?
Well, I'm always on the other side of the perspective, I guess you can say. I get into a lot of debates, and my opinion is not always popular. There's two issues going on with me right now, current issues, that I hope I can write about. The first one is health, and realizing that we have been tricked in a large, major way. For a long time, I was for the last however ever, I don't know, I gave up soda, and I thought I was doing the right thing by picking up cranberry juice, Ocean Spray cranberry juice, apple juice, orange juice, and so on and so on. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm healthy, and I would drink it like I would just guzzle it. I didn't know how to read, and I don't know if they may have presented this in high school or where, but I didn't really realize like the amount of sugar that is in cranberry juice and all these things. And then the stuff that they say is natural. And you look at this, and what they do is let's say for instance, they say, okay, this is cranberry juice light. It's low in, this is low in calories, right? So they'll pull the calories out and add sugar. You know what I'm saying? So they just kind of throw stuff in there. They put chemicals and stuff. They manufacture things. So I guess my thing is like, wow, we've been falling for this. I was diagnosed as I'm pre-diabetic, and I'm working through that. But in working through that, I'm looking at, wow, look at the bread, look at these things that we're eating that we're thinking, oh, this is good, and it's actually not, And and for my life, my view of myself is on the healthier side. Like, I don't eat, if I eat beef every now and then, but when I do eat beef, I eat the natural beef, And I remember a conversation I had with somebody that I was like, this is grass-fed beef. And he was like, wow, I get the red. This is $5 a pound. This is $3 a pound. I'm like, well, there's a reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. I remember I used to drive out to Ione all the time, and on the way, you see where they're just throwing candy bars and trash out there for the cows to eat. To sweeten them up. So my thing is health. The other thing is, as an African American, I'm realizing that we are moving further and further away from what our forefathers or ancestors fought for. We are so out of place, and the image we have of ourselves is, our self-esteem is so low that we have become our own oppressors. We have gotten to a point where, they put these flyers out every MLK weekend, and with Martin Luther King advertising strip clubs and parties, and he's throwing money in the air.
Yes, he was like, let it rain.
Let it rain. This is our
I have a dream.
This is our civil rights leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody who fought for us to be in this location right here together. And we make fun of him. We don't even do any. At the MLK march downtown, they're fighting. I'm more afraid of violence going to the MLK celebration than I am going to the club, because there's fighting. So, and then more recently with Nicki Minaj and
oh yeah, the Malcolm X
cover. Looking at that. And before that, when this month began, I posted on my Facebook, I said, please don't let this whole entire month be about slavery, or be about hating white people, or being about the struggle, or or being about us being butlers and all that stuff. And I got backlash from black people that were like, no, and they want to keep us in that box, that's all we are. That's how we identify ourselves. And we have black astronauts, we have black architects, we have black, there's a lot of things.
The whole spectrum.
In my profession, I work with children, and one of the biggest things is that the image that the kids see is what they will be, right? So they see struggle, and they see, and I asked some of the kids in my class, like, what is your vision? What is wealth? Who is wealthy to you? If you ask a young person to name 5 wealthy people, they're gonna name, oh yeah, Lil Wayne got money. They don't know the doctors, the lawyers. They don't see that. And so, I guess my poetry will reflect that, and in my quest beyond the poetry, what I actually do is reflecting that. I show the kids the photography. I show them the poetry that I do. Like, I'm out. I'm making money legally. That's important. That's important. That shows this thing. And this is something that's not new for me. Like, I grew up in the neighborhood which was middle class, but like 4 or 5 blocks down there was the thugs, and I used to hang out 4 or 5 blocks down. I never did anything too out of the box because I had a great upbringing. But I used to wear khakis, and I used to sag my pants. I did all this stuff. And somebody came and was persistent with me and consistent in showing me a different way. So when I was 15, I led a Youth Against Violence Summit symposium. And I had a radio talk show that dealt with the community issues when I was 18. So this is, some people challenge, what do you do? Like, I've been doing this my entire life. I worked at the Sacramento Children's Home. I ran an emancipation house. I've done all these things. So I'm not bragging on myself, saying I'm the hero of the neighborhood. I could do more. We can all do more. I'm just saying right now, what I've seen in reflection is that these children, what they see is they don't see black and success together. They see, like I said, they see the negative images. What they don't know is that a lot of these rappers have degrees, right? And so this is part of a scheme or a plan. Like, if you have a rapper who has Rick Ross.
Rick Ross is a very interesting subject to me.
Rick Ross studied criminal justice.
And he was a guard.
He was a
prison
guard. Yeah. Before that, he was a football player, and he studied criminal justice. And then he was a correctional officer. Right, but if you ask him, I sold dope. I sold hella dope. Streets of Miami, son.
You like Negro, right.
For real. And then he makes his money because he owns a Wingstop.
Right.
He owns several Wingstops and he owns Starbucks.
But not to get off that but Rick Ross, very interesting to me, is that he took the name of an actual drug kingpin.
Yeah.
Right, Rick Ross, which. That's a very interesting subject. Rick Ross is an actual drug kingpin that is connected to the Iran-Contra, that the CIA gave him drugs to sell to the black community.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. He's still alive, and he talks about this all the time. It's just very interesting. Then they asked him a question, how do you feel about Rick Ross taking your name? And he was like, then he went to all this stuff about how fake he was, that kind of thing.
They had a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And Rick Ross lost to Rick Ross.
Really?
But
that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so I'm big on the community, not just black kids, but just kids, period. Like, they have to see better images and better examples. And our older generation comes down and I just realized the other day, I'm appalled. Oh, you sagging your pants, you'll never be successful. You're not gonna be nothing in life because you're sagging and you're walking around with just language or whatever. And then I grew up when hip hop began, and then when hip hop evolved into, the stuff that I used to listen to, it's worse than this stuff. Like Too Short and Too Loud.
Well, on the dirty thing, right?
Man,
but when I think when the
this twerking is nothing compared to the.
No, it's not. It's not.
When Too Loud Crew used to come on.
Yeah. And then not only Too Loud Crew, but you remember all those lawsuits and stuff about.
About Ice-T.
Ice-T, but not only him, but was it Luke Skywalker or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
And they had all these lawsuits. Oh, you destroying the minds of America and all this kind of stuff. And then, but I think what was different with them was that it was all about sex. But now I think it's more than that. It's not just about sex. That it was all about big old butts and I'm gonna do you like this. I'm gonna take your fake leg off and beat you with it. That kind of stuff. Now it's just like it's this imaginary. It's this imaginary.
Our generation is worse.
You think so? I don't think so. I think that
backstage, underage, adolescent. She was fly. I like to do the wild thing. It took place.
That's what I'm saying. It's about sex. But it was about
that's
sex.
BBD.
I know, but that's about sex.
Talking about child molest.
Right. But that's sex, right? That's sex. So it's not. But right now it's about like let's take. It's about drug dealing. It's about all this imaginary stuff that they talking about doing, but they're not really doing. And then it makes the young people think that, oh, I should do that too. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a little bit different, because, I think the sexual connotation was raw, but BBD knocking the boots and stuff is a little bit different.
Seems like you're ready.
But you're not.
R. Kelly ain't nothing but
Let me pee on you, right? Okay. But I think it's a little bit I think it is a little bit different. I think it has evolved to another level. You know, but it's more.
But the way to approach it, as far as leading,
Too Short was all about sex and women. Yeah.
Make this girl. You know, but I think, and I was talking to a actual civil rights leader from the civil rights era, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to go to this junior high tomorrow. I don't know what to say to the kids, and all they want to do is Facebook and Instagram and Tweet-a-deet. And that's the wrong way to approach the young generation, is to approach them from this high horse, like I'm right and you guys are wrong and you guys are crazy. And cause I said, bro, the Arab Spring happened.
Yeah.
On Twitter, because of Twitter.
Yeah.
So
Social media,
right? So don't come and say you shouldn't be on Facebook. Get off that Facebook. Sit down with them and like, look, let me, what are you doing on Facebook? You have conversations where you come in and then you ease into like, what I used to do back in the day? I used to send letters to people.
actual pen to paper.
I put it in a little box. I used to be a box down the street. I opened the box up, put a letter in.
Like what? It arrived in 3 days.
Yeah, but you kind of ease into it, and then you can guide. You can guide the ship and get them on to the right point. And then what we do, and part of the reason why I was saying let's not make it all about slavery and let's post some positive images. And one person actually said, one black person said this, that we should reenact the plantation during Black History Month at school and send your kids to school dressed like Toby and Kizzy and Harriet Tubman. And I'm like, really? What school do you go to? Because, but CPS, we go to their house. But I think the other thing is that we show images every Black History Month of stuff that happened in 1930. Like, this is the first guy that ever used the first black person ever used a phone, 1930, and so these kids don't relate. It's so far detached.
So this brings me to our final question, and then we're gonna finish off with a poem from you. The final question is that, which is very interesting because it kind of ties into this. So what do you say? Because a lot of times when I hear new cats that come and they read that poetry, they do open mic, is that a lot of times they don't have that information about poets that came before, like Scott Heron and the last poets and all this kind of stuff. So they really don't have. They think they're doing something new, and then they. So what do you have to say to new cats right now? If you had like the bully pulpit, and you sit there. And there's one message that you want to get across. What would that message be to the new poets that are coming up, the new spoken word artists that are coming up right now?
Come to Mahogany. It's kind of like not exactly what I say, but what I do. And when I feature, normally I will, even at Mahogany, I do other people's work. And so the last week I've been featuring everywhere. And which is crazy. I never feature, and then I'm featuring everywhere. So I appreciate that. But what I started off doing, I started off my feature with the Ainsley Burroughs poem, and then I don't say who it's by first, and then I say this which is heard was by a poet named Ainsley Burroughs. Excuse me. That gets their interest, right? Or I'll do Khalil al-Mustafa, or I'll do the Last Poets, or I'll do Amir Baraka. I'll do Nikki Giovanni. I have people that approach me and be like, what was that poet's name again? That's how you get them. Again, because when you approach a young person, they don't want to be preached to. You know what I'm saying? I had a friend named Mike growing up. His dad used to come down. We'd be in the thing playing basketball, and Mike's dad was old, He used to be like, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to do it. That's 3-pointer, you know what I'm saying? I was your age. Like, what is this?
Like a dinosaur.
Jelly Bean Johnson? Like, no, Jelly Bean Johnson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he used to shoot from the outside. And like, no, you gotta. He's Cortex, sometimes you have to kind of, don't say but do. But if I have to, I said that if I ever had to say something to somebody, it would just be common, like, I would just give them some names, or if anybody ever asked me what my influences are, we didn't go through this, but my first my sister is a major influence in my life, even more than she even knows, even more than I know sometimes. Like a lot of things I do are because of her. So when she bought an Apple computer back in like 1980 something, that was the household computer. She had poetry, Alice Walker, Nikki Giovanni, Intozaki Shange, on the computer. I read that poetry, and I love that style, and I love the expression, and I get a lot of my poetry ideas or the influence of Sonia Sanchez from that. So it was like inadvertent exposure, you know what I mean? So like I may write some names down and be like, could you go look at that and come back and tell me what you thought, you know? But pretty much my tactic has always been this exposure, just boom, here you go, and then see it come back.
Okay. So we're gonna finish off this discussion with a poem. So with your finale poem here.
Okay. This is summarize what I've been saying. Wrote this poem after the Trayvon Martin incident first happened. Me and a few people went down to Southside Park and had a vigil for him when it first happened. And that day it was going to rain, so we think it may have affected the numbers. But when the trial happened, we had all these people on Facebook that were angry, and they were posting the play-by-play, and they were all involved. They were all Facebook revolutionaries. And then they did the blackout, and I said, you know, what is that? What is Black You Picture Out gonna do, like as far as movement? Because the whole time that the trial was going on, I was inviting people to join MoveOn.org, Color of Change. I was inviting people to start a voter drive. There's a law in California right now where if you get pulled over by the police, they can legally take your DNA and store it without even charging you with the crime. And California is one of the only states that actually stores that DNA sample. They keep the sample, and that is dangerous, because what do you think can happen? I mean, DNA is probably the most powerful evidence that they can have against you, right? So like right now, I'm at the Naked Lounge, but let's say somebody gets murdered in Galt, and they say, okay, Khiry, we think you murdered this girl in Galt, you know, at 5 o'clock on Sunday. I'm like, no, I was at Naked Lounge. But your DNA is in Galt. Can you explain how we have your DNA? I don't know. Right? Now you're the jury. I just said, I don't know how my DNA got there. What happens? Jail. I'm gone. Right? So I worked, when that law was on the books, they passed that law during the whole Gray Davis recall election. They slipped that law in there. And that's what it is. So it's actually in litigation right now, but you know, when I was asking people, like, let's make a move here in California, we can't really, unless we live in Florida, we can't really change the Florida law. And there was a lot of, and so our revolution, right, is like misguided. Like, they had a scheduled protest at the federal courthouse in Sacramento to protest the state law in Florida. They're like, from 3 to 6, this Sunday, going down to I'm like, there's a lot of things wrong with that. One, courthouse is closed on Sunday. Two, closed, like, nobody gonna be there, like, you know what I mean? Two, they know 3 to 6, there's gonna be a protest. Like, the civil rights movement didn't have no schedule. It was just like, we're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there until we make a change. And then the third thing, and probably most important, is that the federal government has no control over the state law in Florida. So California federal government, or you know, whatever, not California, but you know, the federal government is not gonna change the state law. The state can change the state law. So there's a lot of things. And then the oddest thing happened right after the verdict. People just kind of were okay. And there are other situations that happened. Jordan Davis is one of the ones that's more recent. But there are other situations that happen everywhere. Sacramento has, you know, and we have black on black crime that we're not upset about. There's more black on black crime, and I also was a criminal justice major. It's like Rick Ross. Like Rick Ross. Wingstop. I like Wingstop too. But there's more black on black crime than there is white on black crime or anybody else on black crime. And we're not alarmed or angry by that. There's more black on black crime than there is anything. Or not anything, but in our community, our biggest issue is crime against each other. But it's not an issue unless a white person shoots us or does something to us. So this is Boys in the Hood. There are no protests in my hood. When young black men are shot down in cold blood for no other reason than the way they look. There's never a march or a vigil, no televised trial for the killer, no Facebook status changes, no hashtags. There's never any recognition, just never a call for justice. There are only the mothers who are left having to bury their sons. Maybe if their killers were white, or some shade other than black, then black people would take to the streets and demand justice to make a change or be angry at the conditions. But the truth is, that Trayvon Martin dies in the streets of Oakland every day. Oscar Grant gets shot down by police in Stockton, Sacramento, and Los Angeles every day. Our black children get raped of their identities, their brains sucked out of their heads into a television screen. Our children catch beatings through headphones that play their music designed to numb their senses, telling them to dumb down while the architects behind the lyrics broaden their path to separation. This is a poem about death. While Paula Dean reminds us that the South never went nowhere, we're cool with the outcome as long as justice is served. Just us doing the killing. Just us calling black people niggers. Just us degrading our women. This poem won't get no likes on Facebook. This is a poem about death. The stand your ground law still stands. No change, no justice. Revolution is about change. Revolution, our evolution is about change. In California, they have a legal right to take your DNA without charging you with a crime. No change, no justice. And not black out for Trayvon. I will never hide my face and think it will be okay, and think it will change anything. I will show my face, my eyes that bear witness. Emmett Till's mother wanted America to see what happened to her child. Instead of making it easier for the perpetrators to rest their souls, let them see. Let America see that we are watching, and we got a problem, America. I am Amadou Diallo, I am Jordan Davis, I am Yusef Hawkins, I am Sean Bell, I'm Stockton's per capita murder ratio, I'm 67 shootings July 4th in Chicago, I am Hadia Pendleton, I am James Byrd, I am Michael Donald, I am Rodney King, I am Trayvon Martin. I'm a dark Sacramento street where a white man bred us a firearm on a poet, after referring to black people as niggas. I'm that poet who called authorities and had that man arrested. That man, an off-duty Sacramento police officer, was later convicted of 79 false DUI reports. I'm the result of my people angry at the conditions but not doing enough to change them. I'm not a t-shirt or a hoodie. I'm not a bag of Skittles or a can of iced tea, meaning that I'm not a record amount of sales accumulated to make a statement, but the corporations who benefited from those same statements gave nothing to my community. I will not make this a trend. I will not make this a trend. I will not make this a trend. This poem is not for Trayvon Martin. This poem is for you. You who posted about how angry you were at the conditions, but changed your profile image back to your ugly face 5 minutes after the verdict. You who posted about your disappointment in our society, but turned your monitor back to Love and Hip Hop or WorldStarHipHop.com 5 minutes after the verdict. You who made this about a person instead of about a law that enabled that person to walk free after committing the crime. No change, no justice. You who conveniently logged off, blacked out, gave in, when it's time to moveon.org and color of change, and it's you who can make a difference. So America, this is your mirror. And it's 5 minutes after the verdict. What are you gonna do?
All right. Put your hands together one more time for Khiry Malik, General Habib, Mitchell Shun. What's the other one? What's the Black Africa, Black man, Black Africa. So put your hands together for my brother here. And whenever you can, go to Mahogany Urban Poetry Series every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, 9-ish. 9-ish. So you know how we do. Yes, you get there and you just chill out for a while, and it starts when it starts. And
well, we play. Here's what we do. We play music at 9 o'clock, right? A lot of times the restaurant has customers in there, and let them eat and get out, whatever. We play music, kind of soothe your soul a little bit. Around 9:45, 10 o'clock, we start the poetry.
Right. So it's a late night poetry juke joint. Come out there, chill, relax, get your poet on, and we thank you for coming out, everybody. Put your hands together for yourselves. This is excellent. So this has been Coffee and Poets right here at Naked Lounge at 11th and H. All you people in internet land, see you later. All right, thank you. And right now we're going to go into an open mic period. So we are going to do that right now. And I'm just going to set one mic up, and then we're going to have a few open micers that really want to try their wares on you.